Hey, welcome in. I'm Rita, and this is the story I'm telling myself. If you've ever felt like you're standing in your own way, you are not alone. Let's get into it. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Story I'm Telling Myself podcast. I'm so happy that you are with us today because we're going to talk about why you have such difficulty finding your own path to happiness with our guest today, Suneet Bhatt. Suneet, thank you for joining us today on the Story I'm Telling Myself podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, I am as well. And if you are one of our amazing friends that showed up for the live event today, thank you. We love doing this live event with you because we draw so much energy and inspiration from you in the comments. So let's get it started. If you are here, say hello in the comments. Welcome, Suneet, to the show. Let us know that you're out there. And don't forget, throughout, add your comments, talk with the other people, and be sure that you ask any questions that you want of Suneet. So Suneet,
Yeah.
congratulations on your
Thank
book
you.
launch. You're in pre-sales right now,
Yes.
and that is
Yes.
an extraordinary thing. I'm going to let
Sure.
you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Name is Suneet Bhatt. Everything I do is for my two wonderful children, Anaya and John. And I say that I help people and organizations get unstuck, build momentum, and operate with purpose. And I do that through whether it's teaching at Rutgers University, coaching and facilitation, or implementing operating systems for high growth companies.
I love it. And so Suneet is on LinkedIn. Suneet Bhatt, Bhatt, and we will link this in the show notes for you as
Awesome.
well. If you want to connect with Suneet, he would love to connect
I
with
would.
you.
Yes.
And he would love for you to follow him and engage with him there and the work that he is doing because, like me and so many of you, he is a man of purpose. He is on a
Mm.
mission and he wants to bring the world along with him. And we want to help him make that happen. So make sure that you are connecting with Suneet. And Suneet, let's get into
Yeah.
your story. So
Sure.
you're a professor at Rutgers University.
Yep.
You are studying happiness and purpose
Yeah.
and are humaning around that and why it is so difficult for us to live into the pursuit of happiness, which is one of our constitutional rights. Connect back into our listeners the start
Yeah.
of this. What was your operating norm that you were under before you had this epiphany about purpose and happiness?
Yeah. Uh, I will say that, the big learning for me, I'll start with like the main idea. And the big learning for me, the reason we get happiness wrong is we treat it as a prediction or a projection. And the truth is, happiness starts as a reflection. It is the background against which all purpose, meaning happiness, success is possible. So it is not an outcome. It is not even a byproduct. It is the precursor to all of those things that we aspire to. And
Okay,
in
I
my,
got to pause
yeah,
you right there because
yeah,
this is so important. So I want to make
sure.
sure everybody's got this. And Meryl, I see you. Thanks for showing up this morning. Great to have you
Yeah.
with us. This idea that we try to predict our happiness, which puts
Yeah.
us in this chase
Yeah.
position. And you're saying, forget predicting, forget asking yourself the question, telling yourself the story that if I can just figure out, it's the I'll be happy when trap,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the
You nailed
prediction
it.
part. And you're saying this whole conversation is about why you got to throw that out the window and
Mm,
replace it with reflection, correct?
yeah. Without a doubt. I think at some point we can all get better at predicting, not being certain, but being clear and increasing the probability that we will pursue something that will make us happy. But you can't do that pursuit until you've done the reflection and built your understanding of what has made you happy in the past. The big knock
Now
on,
I want to
yeah,
get into your story, but I can't help.
okay,
We got to hang here
good.
just
This
a
is the
minute.
stuff. This is
We're
the
breaking
stuff.
the protocol because this is
All
the
good.
good stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So I can't help when you're saying that about
yeah,
when we start reflecting and
hmm
we bring the wisdom of our lived
hmm
experience and that reflection forward, it starts to inform the way that we predict better. And
Yeah.
right. So then we
Yeah.
can get better at that because the call is coming from inside the building, which in this case is a good thing, right? We need it to come
Yes.
from the
Yep.
inside. And I
Oh
couldn't
my
help
goodness.
but
Yes.
when you were was saying that, thinking about the unhappiness in youth today and young people, and
Yeah.
how much of that is influenced by the social media,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Look
Yeah.
outside of ourselves at other people, at their circumstances, at their situation.
Yeah.
If I could be a TikTok star, is what my
Yeah.
daughter say. That's my.
Yeah.
I'll be
If
happy,
only I
and
could
I
be.
am.
Yeah. Yeah. So look.
So for people who, especially for younger
Mhm.
people that have grown up under this influence,
Yeah.
how do you break free from this trap that is so ingrained in us today of
Yeah.
looking outside of ourselves?
Yeah, I mean, that's the anchor of the course I designed that I teach at Rutgers, that now I teach with professionals and high school kids and retirees. And it's also the crux of it is it's the anchor of my book. Where do you start? I think you have to start by understanding how we're hardwired. So there's a couple ways we're hardwired that if we don't understand that hardwiring, we can't rewire it. So there's two principles that a lot of folks have probably heard of. One is negativity bias. So to simplify negativity bias, uh, we feel and experience negative stimuli 2 to 5 times more strongly than we feel positive stimuli. So that's the first thing. So simple math is for every negative experience you have, then you've got to have 2 to 5 positive ones just to be at equilibrium. So the deck is stacked against you. It worked when we were cave people. It worked when we were babies, stranger danger, like all that stuff. It works. When we become highly functioning adults, it becomes counterproductive, right? Because our instinct is the negative. So that's the first thing. The second thing is there's this Professor
Okay,
Norton.
so now,
Yeah,
hold on. We can't
yeah,
just breeze through that so fast.
yeah, no
Because I
problem.
just want to
Sure.
make sure that everybody heard that
Yeah,
math, because I teach this math as
sure.
well. In my book,
Yeah,
Show Up Positive, I call it the little accountant in your head.
yep,
That's when you're highly functioning, you
yeah,
have this little accountant that's keeping track of these things. And what Suneet just said is that it takes three, and I think that it's 3 to 5
yeah,
positive things to cancel out the one negative thing that your brain is fixating on.
yeah,
In human biology, your brain will automatically want to fixate on that negative thing. Now, that
yeah,
doesn't mean you have to let it. So
yeah. That's
Suneet's
a choice.
telling us it's a
That's a
choice.
choice.
You
That's a
you you
choice.
start to recognize that it's a
Yep.
choice, but it's a choice that so many of us don't even know how to access because we are stuck in that autopilot. But there's one. Make sure you understand this. He's giving you the
Yeah.
human conditioning you have to understand. What was 2 on the human conditioning?
Yeah, the second, and on that 2 to 5x, I think you have to be aware, like just becoming aware of it means you can bring yourself just to equilibrium. And the hardwiring is there for a reason. It served a purpose. So I don't want to demonize it. Like it served an evolutionary purpose, but now we have to take back control. The second thing is there's this amazing research that was done by Professor Norton at Harvard, who in a nutshell was trying to explore how do people understand and find satisfaction, happiness, fulfillment. And so he started and he ran this effective experiment across a variety of populations. So different countries, different ages, different socioeconomic status. And it boiled down to tell me what it would take to make you feel happy and fulfilled. And people would say, you know what? If you take what I have and you multiply it by 3, I'll be happy. So if I make 50K and you give me 150K, I'm going to feel pretty good. If I make 500K, you give me 1.5 million, I'm going to feel pretty good. That's an interesting baseline, but that's where things got stuck. And that's where this idea of reflecting, right, before making progress became important because once you took that 50K person and moved them to 150K, they said, well, actually, no, you need to now give me 450K for me to be happy. Why? Because they didn't lock in their progress. They didn't acknowledge their point of origin. They didn't acknowledge their progress. All they did was look around, realize they were in a new neighborhood, and the standard improved and increased
Ooh.
and elevated without them acknowledging that they're the reason the standard improved and elevated and increased, improved, and elevated. And so it's those two things. It's this hardwiring for the negative, and then it's this acknowledgement that we compare ourselves against other people, but we don't acknowledge when our comparison set has changed and evolved. So we don't feel the progress, we just feel the pressure of like what's next. And the reflection is the bridge that allows us to say, well, hold on, before I start comparing myself to the people in my new neighborhood, I'm going to acknowledge that I equipped myself to move to this new neighborhood. I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm going to take credit for my progress. And that's going to make me intentional about this new comparison as opposed to scarcity mindedness about this new comparison. And those are two of the things that get in the way of our ability to actually even be happy.
Yes. I love this. This is so very good. And our listeners are too. These just comments are coming in, makes perfect sense. And I heard the message. Lisa, welcome. Great to have you back with us again
Hey,
today.
folks.
Okay. So this isn't just something that you randomly
Mm,
studied.
no.
You have a personal
Oh,
journey
yeah.
behind this. So let's pause here and let's just
Sure.
walk people for a minute through that personal journey that brought
Yeah.
you to the place of learning all of these wonderful, important tidbits that you're giving us.
Yeah. No problem. The story starts when I was in high school. I wanted to, two things I really wanted to do and be. I wanted to join the Peace Corps and I wanted to be a teacher. And yet I had these two incredible immigrant parents who were like, "Mm, you need something that is going to sustain you." They moved here to give us a better life and they took care of us and they provided for us. What they didn't realize that as a result of them providing such an incredible and stable life for us, I was able to start being curious about next level questions, right? And so they created that environment for me that made me ask those questions. Nevertheless, it wasn't in the cards at the time. So I just moved into sort of more traditional business professions, marketing and sales and those sorts of things. And when I took my first job, I loved it. It was 3 or 4 years. I had a blast. Everything was new. After a few years, I said, you know what? This isn't the right job. Something about this job I don't love. Let me go to the next job. And I did that over and over again. I went to business school, got married. And after I exited my last business, my wife sort of paused me and said, Suneet, like, this pattern isn't getting better. Your tenure at your jobs is shorter and shorter and your departures are more and more acrimonious. So this is a you thing, and we need to figure this out. You've done enough. Why don't you figure out like what makes you and matters to you? And this is the origin of the phrase space and grace. My wife gave me the space and grace to figure this out. The space to like, hey, don't worry about anything. Don't jump into something. Just figure it out. And the grace, like work through it. Run some experiments and figure out what makes you and matters to you. And
I
so
don't know,
that,
Suneet. We might have to have your wife on as a
oh,
guest so
dude,
she can inspire
she's
our listeners because that was some next level hard love
she's
that she
she's
offered you in that moment.
uh she makes everything possible. Like it's just that simple and that clear. She makes everything possible. Um, and so I think I was lucky enough to get that space and grace, and that's something I want to create for other people. But when I started doing that work, what's the first thing you do? You ask your mentors, you reach out to former bosses, you look outside at job opportunities. Who has a job I might like? And I did that, and it just never worked. And what I realized was I needed to make sense of myself first so that I could connect to all the things that were coming at me. And so I did this journey myself, right? I realized we are the most complex beings that have ever walked the planet. There's no single lens or perspective anybody will ever have on me that will be total and complete. And so I just focused on getting as many different objective perspectives on myself first, and then looking for the patterns and the through lines and the things that showed up over and over again. And what was really fascinating was, I was an executive at high flying startups raising money. Like they cared about winning, they cared about financial success. They cared about all those things. When I looked at my through lines, I cared about being helpful. I cared about being curious. I cared about learning. I cared about helping people grow. Those were the things I cared about. And I kept trying to bring those into these operating environments where they weren't working. And so as a result of that, I shifted into coaching, teaching, workshop facilitation, like those sorts of things. But that was the journey. When I looked outside of myself, I realized that I was gonna overwhelm myself with information without having a filter to make sense of that information as it relates to me. And so what I tell people is you've got to decide how you're going to decide before you decide. And like before it's time to decide. And I think that's the problem is I was trying to decide in the moment, synthesize everything that was me and everything that was coming at me. And what changed is I was able to do this work and really know myself beautifully well so that when a new opportunity or obstacle presents it, I'm already clear on who I am. I can focus on that moment. And so most of my attention goes into really assessing the opportunity in the moment. And the big thing that like puts a bee in my bonnet that always kind of has done that is happiness is the precursor to success. Like, let me be clear. When you have identified and connected with your happiness, you are more likely to persevere in anything that comes your way. Life is a nonlinear journey. If you are not happy and connected to that journey, as soon as it takes a left turn, as soon as it hits a speed bump, you're going to second guess whether you belong on that journey at all. If you
Mm.
are happy and connected to it, you're going to say, this happens. It's a speed bump. That's okay. A detour on the road, it's a detour. Like, that's okay. I'll take this left, right. I'll be back on track. You're more willing to persevere. Happiness is the precursor to success. Happiness is the foundation of resilience. Like, sustainable resilience is happiness. And the thing that's everybody says is, well, human beings are terrible at predicting what will make them happy. And then they say, so settle for contentment. No,
Mm.
happiness is our superpower. It is what makes everything we want possible. I'm not settling for contentment. I'm not living in a world where people are content. What we get wrong is we try and predict the future without understanding the past. And so let's start with what makes me happy? What has actually made me smile? What can I do forever without running out of energy? Where are the places and things I spend time that fill my cup? And like reflect. And the next time those things show up in the future, you'll identify them more quickly. They'll resonate with you. You'll enjoy those moments and you'll create that flywheel for yourself.
Well, one of the things that we know, and you talked about being a marketing guy, that is so
Yeah.
true about what you're saying about intention and giving attention is
Yeah.
it is, the example of when you go car shopping and you fall in love with a little red Corvette.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you
Great
see
song.
Corvettes all over the
Yeah.
road or red cars all over the road where you weren't noticing them before. So what you're saying is when you do this reflection and you identify these things in your life that really are your through lines, that give you the energy, that give you the drive, that bring that happiness to your
Yep.
soul, to your being. Once you can name those, then you
Yep.
can start spotting them.
Yep. You've nailed it. I've never put it that way, but it does work. That's exactly how it works. So Rita, that was really neat summary, and I'm going to process that. I forget the name of the bias, the visual bias that we have for that kind of thing, but that's something I'm going to have to explore next. And you've summarized it beautifully. Like once you name it and notice it, you'll see it. And what's interesting is people will say, "Well, family time." It shows up when I do it with high school kids, when I do it with college kids, when I do it with professionals, when I do it with, it doesn't matter. Time spent is the common through line for happiness and energy. And what's interesting is sometimes people say, well, my schedule is more, I still don't have all the time in the day. I can't spend all my time on that time, the quality time. And my reaction is, it's not like, I'm not going to be able to change the demands of your calendar. That's on you. What I promise you is that now that you named it, the next time you're in that moment with the person you wrote down that makes you happy or the experience that makes you happy, you're going to pause and remind yourself that you're lucky to be in that moment and how much it means to you. And you're going to be present. And as a result of being present, you're going to get more out of it and it's going to stick longer. So, like, we're not yet, maybe you'll start recalibrating your day. You should, right? Wherever you can control it. But I promise you, you'll observe it, you'll be attentive to it, it'll mean more to you, you'll get more from it, and you will build momentum and it'll just recharge you and rejuvenate you.
So can I share a little
Yeah.
testimonial to what you're talking about, Suneet?
Oh my goodness.
So
Yes.
my younger daughter is a rising sophomore at college, and
Nice.
so a couple of years back, when she was probably late junior year, headed into her senior year of high school,
Tough,
I had
tough
this
year.
realization that my husband and I were headed toward our empty nest years.
Mm. Mm.
And my daughters are 5 years apart. So it's
Okay.
basically like we raised two only children.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
They're kind of very different
Yeah.
cycles
Sure.
of life through much
Life.
of their childhood, and demanding. I mean, that was a long time, but of me
Yeah.
being taxi mom and all of those things. So
Sure.
this probably occurred to me about the time my daughter got her driver's license in junior year, and I finally got out of like mom taxi cab service. And
Yeah.
she's sort of took that first big independence step that is so
Yeah.
important to adulthood, which is being able to go where you want, when you want, without a parent having to be your ride. And but I got to reflecting on that, and what would our life and our marriage and our home be without the girls?
Yeah.
And I started reflecting and remembering the 7 years that we had together before we had our first child,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and the things that we did, all the tennis that we played, all the bike riding that we did, the canoeing, all of those kinds of things. And I said, I,
That's beautiful.
I don't need to define a new relationship with my husband. We just need to reconnect. We know how to be these people. We just need to
Yep.
reconnect to the people that we were before we had our kids, and start. And that is exactly
Start
the
there.
path I chose to take. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting how that set a frame of reference for
Yeah.
me, and a new expectation of relationship that was much less transactional.
Yeah.
Because in parenting you
Oh,
get into
wow.
so much spousal transacting
Yeah. Yeah.
versus relating.
Yeah. Yeah. I I mean, Rita, I love that story, and let's unpack it and talk about why. I think it's so great that you shared that with your audience and just in general. Like, if you think about it, imagine if you had said, you know what, I have to build a new relationship with my husband. That is a much steeper mountain to climb, and we do not see the world as it is. We see the world based on our ability to act. There's this Dr. Witt who has this great analogy about hiking mountains and swimming streams and running trails. We It's as heavy as the backpack you're carrying. So if you're carrying a heavier burden, then the mountain you have to climb will feel steeper. The hill will feel steeper. The run will feel longer. And what you just did was, instead of starting with a heavy backpack of work you needed to do to build that new relationship, you gave yourself a running start. It's the same mountain, it's the same relationship, but instead of starting from a standstill and looking up, you went back and you reflected and you said, there's a lot of momentum for me to build on. And that takes that mountain and it makes it a hill, right?
Mm.
And that takes that marathon and makes it a 5K, right? And that takes that ocean and makes it a river. And like, everything becomes easier to manage because you give yourself the grace of that running start. And so that's what I love about that story you said, is you made a choice that I'm not going to just burden myself with a fresh start and everything new. I'm going to give myself a running start, and I've earned it. And it's the truth. It's also the truth. And that makes it so much more likely that you're going to do it as opposed to defer it. And that's beautiful. Like, I love that story.
Thank you. And can I just say, and I teach this all the time. One of
Sure.
the biggest interventions that I do when I go into teams that have become dysfunctional, that have hit one of those
Yeah.
speed bumps in the road and they've kind of lost their way, is we
Yeah.
do remembering exercises. We
Amazing.
remember who we used to be and how we
Yep.
used to be together and
Yep.
what made that great for us. And we start
Yep.
to envision ourselves in that again. But in my story with my husband, so this is a whole conversation that's going on just inside of
Yeah.
right here, right just between
Yeah.
these two ears.
Yeah.
This is all my own personal conversation. I never had this conversation out loud with my husband. We never processed or talked about this as a couple. But what I inherently knew to be true and what is exactly how it went is if I started showing up and treating him in the
Yeah.
ways that I did before children, he would remember as well.
Yeah.
And he would respond, which he did,
Yeah.
you know, beautifully, right?
I love it.
We didn't have to
Love it.
we didn't have to make a big plan. We didn't have to talk about it.
Nope.
We didn't have to go to couples counseling. We didn't have to.
Yeah.
All we had to do was start being.
Yeah. I mean, Rita, this is great. I promise you I will be reusing this story to tell it because I think it's a beautiful embodiment of like this conversation that we're having and the tools and the way people should be thinking about this stuff. But yeah, you just articulated it in a way that so many people can connect to. That's awesome.
So let's talk about this a minute because
Sure.
I can't believe it, but we are almost at the top of the hour already.
Hey,
It's
look
crazy
at
how
that.
fast this time flies.
Yep.
But for people that are listening to this conversation, and you went through your own
Yeah.
realization, you talked about the space and grace that you had.
Yep.
It can feel. I can't wait to share this with Karen Guggenheim. My
Yeah.
friends who are World Happiness Summit people on this, I'm sure you're thinking like this is like we just had a little mini World Happiness Summit talk right here.
Yeah.
But for people who we're time starved. It's one of the things that we talk about a lot in as it relates to happiness is this challenge that we carry around where we feel
Hmm.
time starved. And so when
Sure.
you're in a space that you are feeling time starved, and now what you're talking about reflecting feels like deep emotional work, it can feel challenging to even imagine how you create the space in your life
Mm.
to do this for yourself. So what
Yeah.
guidance, how can you help our listeners who say, yeah, that sounds great, but like, I don't know when, how, or where I would get
How
after
to
that.
start? How to start? Um, there are two amazing thinkers alive today that I sort of turn to their work. So it's James Clear, Atomic Habits, and it's Britt Frank, Unstuck. And if you put those two together, they say when you are in this premise of stuck. So you and I could have a whole conversation about that. I ban the word stuck from my classroom. We talk about plateaus because they're varying different levels of stuck, and using just a one blanket word to describe stuff isn't functional or helpful. But when you get past that, what they tell you is first optimize for the starting line, not the finish line. So you're saying, I want to do reflection, and someone's like, oh, I need 20 minutes, 30. Optimize for the starting line, not the finish line. That's from a combination of Britt Frank and James Clear. And then find the easiest thing you can say yes to get started right away, micro yeses. So optimize for the starting line and create micro yeses. So like, look, the reflection work that I start with is something called happy, proud, not yet satisfied. It really combats this like negativity bias. And I do it with my kids since they were 6. And it is, tell me one thing that made you smile today. Just one thing that made you smile today. Great. Tell me one thing that gave you energy today, made you feel a little bit more confident about yourself. Tell me one thing you're proud of. And then tell me one thing you want to take on tomorrow. Like, given those two things, what's something you want to tackle tomorrow? And like, boom, a minute. Do it while you're driving. Do it on a good day, bad day. Start doing it. You like that. It's going to feel good. Start writing it down. Put a journal by your bedside. Like, just make progress. But the most important thing, Rita, is not the optimize for the starting line. At some point, you're going to miss a day. And this is what we fail at the most. The strongest and most powerful arrow we have in our quiver is self forgiveness, and we don't
Mm.
employ it. So we hit that thread and then we miss a day and then we carry the guilt. And we're like, all right, I missed 5 minutes today. Tomorrow I have to do 10 minutes. And then we overburden. When you're
Oh, what
lifting
a
weights,
story we tell ourselves, right? But
right? When you lift weights at the gym and it's too heavy, what do? You remove some weight so you can lift it. Mentally, when we miss that day, it was too hard to lift that day. We add weight and we make it harder to lift the next day. So the thing that was hard for us to do, we increase the difficulty of it and force ourselves to do it mentally. No, we should make it easier. I missed today. You know what? Tomorrow I'm just going to go back to 1 minute and I'm going to rebuild my way up. And this is the challenge. And self forgiveness is so powerful. There are three things, the three things that have the most significant impact on our ability to bounce back and be resilient. Okay. Religion is one, community is the other, self forgiveness is the third. Now, religion, people have complicated relationships with religion for a variety of reasons. Some people have it, some people don't have it, whatever it is. Religion is a complex engagement, right, for many people. Uh, Community is powerful, but you need other people. And we know that there is a loneliness epidemic, not just for men, but around us. We are more and more siloed. Self forgiveness, you don't need anything but the willingness to say, I forgive myself for this thing. Those are the three most powerful tools you have, arrows in your quiver, to bounce back and get resilient. Traumatic experience, modest experience, a miss, whatever it is, three most powerful things. And so, like, optimize for the starting line, find the thing to say yes to, and forgive yourself for not starting earlier, and forgive yourself and just move on. It's so powerful. The research on it is
I
amazing.
love that. I love
Yeah,
that. That is so very powerful. That
yeah,
that and here's the thing, that it is just the lie of your perfectionist. You
yeah,
know, the
yeah,
part of the self-forgiveness is just starting out from the beginning, recognizing
yeah.
there is no perfect way.
There
And
is,
that
there is not.
imperfect is just humaning,
It
because
is, it
that's
is. There's
that's what we do.
There's no perfection. There's no certainty. None of these things are there, right? Annie Duke says life is more poker than it's not chess and checkers, it's poker because there's always a flop. There's always something beyond your control. The only thing you do is play your hands as well as you can, right? That's the best thing you can do.
And I will add, I teach a similar practice to a lot of my leaders as
Hmm.
well, Suneet. It's one of the reasons why your work so resonates with me. But these three questions that he's talking about, if you are a team leader and you are trying to instill greater psychological safety, more belonging and inclusion inside of your team, so that you are fostering their well-being so they can bring you their best, ask them those three questions. Just even if it's just once a week, team huddle,
Yeah,
have people exchange and share those things. You will be amazed at the
it's
connectivity and the energy it will drive in your group.
It's incredible. It's my favorite workshop to do. I do it for hundreds of people. Tomorrow, I've got a CEO group, a group of CEOs and executives. I'll be doing it for 10 folks in this conference room who like need the opportunity to take a step back from their high flying businesses and like how do we get them together? And you nailed it. What's neat is when you do it, but then when you see what somebody else identifies as happy and proud, now you can remind them and celebrate them when they have that moment. Like these are the ways we connect community sustainably, not superficially, right? But like really deep understanding of each other. It's beautiful. It's really neat.
So I have one other question, and
Sure.
this could be a whole nother podcast. So we
Yeah.
may just have to like do this in
We'll come back.
January. So,
Yeah.
but you give us a little preview here. One of the things in reflecting that I think is
Sure.
challenging for us as human beings
Okay.
is that we often look outside of ourselves. And
Okay.
so when we reflect and we're reflecting on these things of, where our
Yeah.
energy is, those kinds of things, there's often entwined in that a story about other people around us and what they are or are not doing, that creates
Okay.
this expectation of
Yeah.
people around us that is outside of our
Sure.
control.
Sure.
Can you give us any parting words of wisdom about how to navigate that internal treachery of our internal narrator?
Yeah.
It's part of our, our ego defense mechanism where,
Oof.
we
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there. Let me tell you first and foremost, when you take my class and when you read my book, I actually make three promises at the very beginning. I say, my three promises to you are: one, you're going to know yourself better than you ever have before. Two, you're going to know yourself better than anyone else ever will. And three, that's going to put you in position to feel clear and confident no matter what obstacle or opportunity comes your way. And I think what we have to do is rebalance our relationship with ourselves so we approach people and those feedback they have for us or what they're seeing us, et cetera, from a place of confidence. It's hard to do that when you haven't done the self work. When you're not clear and confident on who you are and also who you aren't, when anybody gives you something, feedback, perspective, a lens, a critique, you're left holding it because you don't know where to put it. When you are clear and confident on who you are, whatever the world gives you goes in one of three buckets. That's awesome. That aligns with who I am. I'm going to take that. That's curious. I'm excited about that. Let me think about that. I'm going to park it. Or thank you, but no thank you. That has nothing to do with me. That is all about you. I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that down. And so what I see is at the end of my work, we reframe feedback as co-perception. So feedback, really complicated. And the reason feedback is a struggle, it's not, you don't need to train people how to give feedback. That's not the problem. The problem is people don't know themselves. They're uncertain about themselves. And so when you give them feedback, anxiety goes through the roof. And so if you can help someone become more self-aware, clear on who they are, as a result of them being clear on who they are, you have the ability to understand their clarity as well. They trust you more, and then they're willing to integrate what you share. And so, like, when people are struggling with that external perspective, the other thing is, who do you choose? Whose perspective do you choose? So in Happy, Proud, Naiad, Satisfied, it's typically a 20-minute exercise, but you can shrink it. It works. When I get to proud, people struggle. We're not taught to be proud of ourselves. I'm like, this isn't prideful.
Yeah.
This is like what gives you energy. There's this, I make everybody pause because everybody stops writing. And I say, see yourself through the eyes of someone who loves you. Like, choose the lens and choose what you're going to externalize. I've had people cry. I've had people like, I'm like, what would your mom want to say for you? You to say for yourself, your child, your best friend, your coach, your boss, your peers. What would they want you to say for yourself? And it's amazing when you choose the perspective, not the default negativity bias inspired perspective. When you choose to see yourself through the eyes of people who love you, like, it's magic what you can unlock. Hopefully that's helpful.
Oh, I think that is, and I think that is unfortunately a great place to end, but I really feel like we're going to have part
Do
two
it
of
again.
this because
I'd love
the
it.
other thing that
I'd love
needs
it.
to happen, we might have to be like a little mini book club friends. I don't know. You let me know what you think about this idea. But Suneet, when does the book drop?
The book drops August 25th. And if I can, Rita, what I would say is I just got my NetGalley subscription. And so if you and or your readers were to come to me and say, Suneet, we would love the NetGalley, I would be happy to. I haven't done this. I just got it last night. I'd be happy to push that to your group so it could be available to them today if they wanted to
Great.
galley copy and review.
I don't think Sharon could be with us today. She was in the comments earlier on LinkedIn,
Nice.
and I said you guys need to connect because she's a reader. She would definitely
Let's
take
do
you
it.
up on that offer.
Love it.
But yes, so you can pre-order Suneet's book now. But right now I don't have any space until 27. But by like January, February 27, we could all have read the book and we can reconvene and
Oh,
have
wow.
even more brilliant conversation about these
I would love
ideas
it.
because they are so very powerful. This person from LinkedIn says, I can
Okay.
attest to this in my line of work. I see every single point made here. Choose you and you will never lose. Melissa, I see you as well. Perfectly timed. She's
Wow.
one of my Wahasu friends.
Yeah.
Gail, I see you out here as
Nice.
well. Nicole, so many wonderful people returning. Tiffany from who was with us last week.
Amazing.
So
Oh, so nice. Can I
friends,
add? Can I add to
yeah,
that? that choose. And the other thing I say is don't chase, like make space, right? Don't chase the things that you think you need to chase. Cultivate a space around you where those things will naturally be invited to thrive and grow. So I love that. Choose and don't chase, like make
I
space.
love that. Okay, this is a brilliant piece of wisdom to end on because we all can feel it in our bodies. We know when we're in the chase. You
Yeah.
feel the anxiety, you feel it's the tension in your stomach or the heart racing or the mind racing. Like when you're having those feelings, what Suneet just said is don't chase,
Make space.
make space. So pause, reflect, find the true to you. And of course, his book is going to give you the roadmap of all the questions to ask, all
Yeah.
the things to do. So we are so excited for this book drop to happen next month. So get your pre-order in, and we will have Suneet back, and we will
I would
have our
love it.
little book club conversation about
I'd
this
love it.
because this has been too brilliant to not do that. But
Oh,
remember,
wow. Thank
we're
you.
going to give you a little guide. So there is the activation guide from each episode. You can subscribe for. Make sure you look for that. I will drop the link again in the show notes every week for you. And I will come back to LinkedIn for all of our LinkedIn friends and leave it there. But just a place to start. We'll give you 5 or 7 simple reflection questions to help you take everything that we've talked about today and start your journey to knowing you better so that you are no longer shopping for purpose on an empty stomach, chasing happiness, all of these
Yeah.
wonderful metaphors that Suneet has. You will not be that person anymore. You will know you. You will know you better than anyone else, and you will be able to take care of you in the best possible ways. And that is what Suneet is
Amen.
offering all of us. What a beautiful thing
Thank you.
to receive. Thank you, Suneet. Okay,
Thank you so
next
much.
week, come back again. We'll have another conversation. It's going to be every week, I think. How are we going to top this one? And I don't know, Suneet, this might be the episode of the year. We'll see what happens. But I cannot thank you enough
Wow. Thank you.
for coming and sharing all of this wisdom. This is just dripping with so much good stuff and so much good energy. It's been wonderful to have you. We'll see everyone back here again next week. Have a wonderful week and good luck finding you. We can't wait to help you along your journey. Thanks for joining us. If you love this episode, leave us those 5 stars and be sure to share this with a friend. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. See you back here next week.